Hi everyone, this is Diane. I am ready to show you my Cottage Core journals. But first, I want to talk about these. I put these here to kind of decorate the view. I don't know if you'll be able to see them once I put them out of the way so I can show the journals, but I got these at I'm not sure, maybe Hobby Lobby. We went to Home Goods and I know I didn't get them at Joann's. So anyway, I got them at one of the stores that I went to with my daughter. And I don't know if I love fall decorations. So I don't know if it was just because I love fall decorations that I really wanted these, or because I've been working on Cottage Core journals and these really fit the theme. So anyway, I'll just show them to you. When I put a battery in this, it lights up, which I haven't done yet. Isn't it cute? Little shutters there. And there's a little miniature mushroom house. And I picked up this pumpkin with my last initial on it. I do have a small collection of various ceramic pumpkins. And this little mouse shielding his head with a maple leaf. He's holding an acorn. And a squirrel with a leaf full of acorns. Oh, there's a little squirrel here too. And I wanted 3 critters, so I picked up a hedgehog with some mushrooms stuck to his little prickly things. He's so cute. Okay, I'm back. I did that intro showing my little pieces and then started to show you my cover and realized I hadn't put anything on the spine like I wanted to. So we're back. Let's get into the journals. So they're just Cottage Core journals. That's what I'm going to call them. They'll have their separate listing, and you'll be able to see the cover if there's a particular one that you like. But it has a lot of different vintage crochet and this beautiful vintage lace here, and I added a vintage button. Everything on here is vintage except for the little muslin piece that I stamped that house on. And this piece on the spine is not vintage. It is from Hobby Lobby. And it only goes down as far as the spine, actual spine goes. I have quite a bit hanging off the cover and the spine of some loose fabric all the way around. I made this tassel with strips of coffee dyed muslin and some fibers and ribbon. And I hung a key with the tassel. It got mixed in there somehow. Find it here. Okay, here we go. It's not a vintage key. It's one of the elements that are sold in the craft department, but it's a really pretty key. So that's the key to your cottage, and I attached it with the tassel with this loop brad thing. Some more vintage doilies on the back. There are a lot of wide, floppy pieces hanging off the edge for some interest. And I put a piece of vintage fabric on the inside. This is a vintage handkerchief. You'll see a piece of a vintage handkerchief on the front or on the inside covers of both journals. So this one was just really pretty with the white lace or white fabric and this gorgeous lace, and it's glued to vellum so it can be a pocket. I took a large tag and stamped on it, just did some decorating where you can write your name, tucked it in there. Let's see, where can I put my decorations? It'll maybe help me, whoops, it's a good thing they're not glass. It'll help me stay in view, maybe. Okay. All right, so now I have some coffee dyed scrapbook paper, and I added this piece that was left over from another journal that I made with, this is a Mrs. Cogg's quote about home. It's a great quote from Charles Dickens. And this is a vintage masking tape that I stamped, Collector of Beautiful Things. So these coffee dyed pages I purchased from an Etsy seller. They're kind of grungy and I love them. I'll have to see if I can find where I bought them. I bought from several different Etsy sellers over the years for coffee dyed paper. I think this was the most recent purchase though, so I might be able to find it. But the scrapbook paper I dyed myself with the plastic lacy tablecloth pieces. This little piece right here is from a 1800s ledger, and I die cut a piece of it out, and that's just a label. This is one of the ephemera pieces from the digital kit called Cottage Core, and the shop is Secret Helper. And there are several Cottage Core kits that all go together. So I will link the main kit. I think I have 2 of the kits in here, pages and ephemera. I did a video showing how I did the layering of stamps and stencils and just inks. Really fun way to decorate your pages. Here's one of the pages of the Secret Helper kit. I want to live in one of these cottages. And the backing papers that I printed on the digital pages are not from Secret Helper. I don't know where they're from. I've had them for a long time. Vintage ledger, and this is cut from a vintage field guide type of book. Some flowers. We've got some coffee dyed vintage rickrack and some vintage crochet here. All right, I have some spare pieces here if I need them. I just added this little pocket to this one, and so I'll just tuck that tag in there. This is a no, it's not. I was going to say Edith Holden, but it's not an Edith Holden page, but it is a Botanical page. There's some handmade paper and a embossed cardstock that I colored with different inks and made a pocket out of it. And this is just a sheet from a little notepad I have, vintage, William Heiser and Sons, manufacturers of quality poultry and dairy feeds in Franklin, Merrickville, and Andes. For goodness sake, use our coal. And this was the cover page, part of the cover page for the kit. But I didn't use it on the cover, so I just folded it up and you can write on it. And someone had gifted me quite a while ago a collection of tags of different sizes with these monogrammed collaged bits. And so they were just bases for tags, so I decorated up, and I think I used the last of them in these journals. So if it was you that sent these tags to me, thank you very much, and please remind me. I think this is from the kit, and that's a vintage label. So I folded this page up and then folded it back down a little bit to make a little edge on the paper, and I did a fancy stitch on it. These 2 pieces are from the kit. Each journal gets a beautiful vintage or antique postcard. The date is not visible there, but it is antique. And a packet of, it's an empty packet for planting peas in your cottage garden. This is from the kit. And I did some stamping on some of the pages. I did also have some stamped labels and things like that that I already had cut out, so I just added that. Now I have this, a really old, I don't have a box of it in here, but little rolls of wallpaper border, and it was quite dirty. I had some rolls that weren't in the box, and I have, I think, 2 or 3 boxes. I sold the rest. I got them at the flea market this year. And the ones that I used, which were not in the boxes, were really dirty. So I wiped them all off. And they're not dirty anymore. And I also had these labels from for spices, and they're from 1966. And this is a digital you can write on. This is from the kit, and that's not from a kit. That's from a journal that I purchased, and then I used the journal and didn't use this piece. So I took it out of the journal so I could use it. Stationery that I just kind of crinkled up. And then this center page is from, it's a replication of a vintage catalog. And I love the clock. So you could select a clock to have in your sitting room in your little cottage. There's a brown bag here. Yeah, we saw the brown bag there. And I just put a while you were out page there that you can write on. This is from a field guide. And then I had a coffee dyed tag, and I just added a couple of the elements from the kit, and then I stamped some numbers on masking tape, the vintage masking tape. This is an ephemera piece and a stamped piece. I love that butterfly stamp. This is from that backing paper set that's not part of the kit, but I just love this. This is from the kit. The young girl with the long red hair and the little chipmunk friend. She's out collecting herbs. This is a stamped butterfly. Then we have this envelope that I decorated a long time ago. And I added some recipes in here. So here's a written recipe for potato salad and one taken from this vintage book for bread items: butter cakes, cinnamon rolls, cinnamon rusks, hot cross buns, coffee cake. Very fall baking. I love cinnamon stuff in the fall. I'm not a pumpkin girl, and I don't drink coffee, but I do like cinnamon stuff. There's a Collector of Beautiful Things stamp again. And then I had this flower. Oops, I got bent a little bit. You might want to glue that down somewhere in here before it gets damaged more. It's just a ephemera piece. More handmade paper there, and I did some fabric clusters, but they're made with muslin and the vintage laces and crochets and things. Did some stamping on that edge. Another of the layered stamping and stenciling examples. And these two, this one and the other one we saw, have little bits of the mesh stuff that's inside vintage spines, book spines. Antique, probably. This is definitely a very old piece of a mesh fabric, and the seam is right here where it was sewn together. So there's a couple layers there, which is fun. This is from the kit, and that's from a field guide. This is just a random piece of ephemera that I had printed. You can write on it. And a page from a field guide. I don't know if it's, I can't tell you which things are on videos or not, because I'm going to not publish one of the last video that I did. I didn't even edit it yet. I'm just going to skip right to this. So I don't know if I showed this kind of a pocket at all, but it's kind of collaged with a scrap of coffee dyed paper, and this I stamped on a strip of muslin here. And then this is this, I think it's the same mesh that's right there, and a little piece of lace. And it just forms a pocket, and then I added this digital. So inside the pocket we have a coupon for some silverware and an old recipe for blackberry pudding and the sauce to go on it, and graham pudding and cottage pudding. And this is the cover from a little memo book, a little book that men would carry in their front shirt pocket from a fertilizer company. So you could glue something on the back to write on it. The other book has the back cover. Second signature, I folded this edge over. There wasn't much to fold over, but I glued it down. And this is from the kit. It's back to cardstock, and I put this little paper clip there to hold it in. Another piece from a field guide. That's from the kit, and this is a key that I stamped. This stamping layer section here has different doily stamps because I think doilies are perfect in a little cottage in the woods. This is from a 1930s magazine. This image of it's more than a cottage, it's a house, but it looks very cottagey with its white stones and shingles and the cottage garden out front. And I just put something to journal on the back. I stamped on this little piece of paper is a little vintage piece. It was perforated in a little memo book. And I just stamped on that, stamped there. This is an Edith Holden page. This is a double pocket coffee dyed paper, and then I took a piece of straw paper. This was already embossed. I embossed it, but I'd had it in my stash. And I just rubbed an embossing pad over it, my Versamark watermark stamp pad. It's no color to it. It just stays wet and you can emboss with it. So I rubbed it over there and then used my Tim Holtz. I think I used this color, but because it's a glaze, the background color shows through, so it doesn't look green at all. But I like the way it looks. And so it touched all the high spots of the embossing, but even some of the lower spots got some of it, which is pretty cool. Here's a flashcard with a rug, because you want a rug in your little cottage. Another little patchwork heart. And this is a digital from Kara Brandon, I think. Her collage bits. And this is part of this kit. Here's another little bag with another little piece of that wallpaper and another digital ephemera piece. These are from the kit. Stationery. This is from another vintage catalog reproduction. That's what I was trying to say. I said a replication. This is flouncings, laces, eyelets, embroideries. They call these embroideries because they're embroidered laces. Things you might want to use to create curtains and other, flounces on your pillows in your cottage. This is from a little notepad of owl paper. It's so cute. I just glued him to your bag. And then I made this little booklet with coffee dyed papers and this stamped piece that I had. Just decorated it with some of the elements from the kit. This is from a different digital kit. Both of these are. Now, I have to tell you about this. I tried to make a leather tab. Well, I did make a leather tab, but not without mishap, because my sewing machine didn't like sewing through. This leather is kind of thick, and it tore the paper. But I left it there because it is a shabby journal, and I really like the leather being there. I glued this bird's nest that was stamped on muslin. I glued that over part of the ripped part. But I think it's fine. It doesn't act like it's going to tear out because the tear is down here and this is not torn up here. So I think it's fine. Stamped a flower there. And I made one fabric flip. The other ones just have clusters, the other signatures, but I wanted to use a piece of this curtain. Here's one of the clusters. This came from an interior decorating book, and I loved this. I thought it looked like it's something that would be in a cottage in the woods. This little piece here is from the kit. I created this tag with cardstock and a piece of vintage ledger, and this came out of a gardening book. And now we have a mustard seed packet. These don't have anything in them, but they are open, so you can put things in them. And here we have a seed packet for flowers, nasturtiums, that I used as a pocket. I cut the top, I sealed the bottom where it was open and cut this open. And I stamped, "Yes, this happened," on the masking tape. There's another one of those tags that I received, and it had an owl charm on it, which I love. I just added the flower and the bird's nest. And I added another field guide page back here. Another die cut from that 1800s ledger. I love these parts of the digital. There were two of these fancy pieces. One has a leaf and the other one has a mushroom. That was in the first signature. More layered stenciling, or stamping. Vintage ledger paper from a hardware company, 1955. And I just folded one edge over and tucked this little bird in here. Little bird card. I love that little bird. And there's another bird from Edith Holden. Some handmade paper with leaves in it. You can see, I hope you can see it right there. Little bits of leaves. This has the other part of the book cover. And I added this little piece that came out of a vintage book about furniture. You could back that with paper to journal on, or you could glue it down, back it with cardstock and glue it down, make it a pocket. But it's one of the pieces of furniture in your little cottage. Here's another old recipe from that really, really old little, it's like a little ledger book that someone wrote recipes in, and it's very, very foxed. This says Porter's Handmade something liniment. I think it says liniment. So it just has different ingredients, 1 ounce of each thing, of sweet oil, and then oil of hemlock, of spike, hartshorn. So yeah, it's definitely pharmaceutical type stuff. Here's another stationery piece with a lot of rabbits. It's so cute. Perfect for cottage core. This is part of another digital kit. I love this great big journal card, and it was the perfect size to glue to this larger bag. This is a white coffee dyed bag. Yep, that was right there. I keep missing the first half of it. There is a little piece of the embossed straw paper. And inside here is an extra page. I had 1 extra page printed, so I cut it in half and put half of it in here. And I think the other journal has the other half. This is from a sticker book. And this is real vintage. It came from a vending machine. I put a bottle cap on here. And a little fabric flip with a little bit of a calendar that came off of a linen towel. I cut the month off the top, so you can make it whatever month you want. I love this little bit of the vintage lace there. This is from the kit. Again, I cut the flaps off of it because I think the flaps make it too loose. So I just cut them off and I backed it with a little piece of tan cardstock and glued it right down. Here's a little decanter that might be in your cottage and a little patchwork heart. I love these journals. I wish I could keep one, but I am not going to. And then on this back page, I have a burlap pocket with a little piece of pink burlap, scrap of fabric, and a little crocheted flower. Another furniture piece for your cottage. It's a fancy mirror. It's backed with coffee dyed paper that you can journal on. And then this is a vintage, I think it's from the 50s, and it seems like it's a ink blotter, but it's advertising Gold Bond gypsum wallboard. So that might be an item you used to build the walls of your cottage. And here we have another handkerchief glued to vellum. I used vellum again because that any color cardstock would show through that sheared looking. It's very thin fabric. And here we have another page from that decorating book. And I glued it to cardstock and added a journaling spot. You can write on the back also. Oh, I'll have to stamp my name, my thing that I sign on the back. And then I have another recipe for $1 Million Pickles. I think we should tuck another recipe in here, don't you? So let's add this recipe for muffins. So there's that one. I'll go through this one a little more quickly because they have the same elements, but just different items are inside, but the same kind of pattern of things. Something just made a loud noise outside. Okay, so we have this handkerchief with the fall colors, and I cut the vellum to kind of mimic the pattern there. This one has a little tag glued on the front as a pocket and the house quote. I love this trim. Some more handmade paper. Again, folded this page up, kind of bent it up, and it's glued into position there. And an antique postcard, 1909. The cover part of the kit, and a seed packet for collards. There's a little stamped piece that I crumpled up and inked, and then added this little bit from the kit. I do have extra pieces, so each kit will get some of these and some extra pieces that I'll throw in. There's a patchwork heart in this bag. That's a stamped muslin piece. Another page from the catalog with clocks. This one has the opening at the top, and this was an embossed gift bag that was pretty fibrous. I think somebody must have given that to me. I don't really remember where I got it. But anyway, I cut it and glued it to this tag. So this background tag was in my stash, and I used a lot of, well, quite a few of the tags that I had done in a video showing different tags I was making with backgrounds. So this and book pages and things. So I need to make some more background tags and have them all ready. I had this piece of mesh. It was long, just a scrap of the mesh fabric, and rather than cut it, I didn't want it all floppy. I folded it down and just kind of made a mess out of it, but I like it. It's very shabby and messy. I'll put that in later. This is a stamped bit right there. Here's the envelope here. I didn't put any recipes in here like I did in the other one. So we have cauliflower soup. We have this packet of this page of recipes from Gold Medal Flour. And this is a stamped nasturtium piece that I've had in my stash. I crumpled up some of the handmade papers and bent them and stuff to make the book look more vintage, shabby. There's a cluster. This is another digital C.N. Schmid, Fine Groceries and Provisions. And this is an antique ephemera piece picturing nasturtiums, just like the seed. Was it a seed packet I gave you? No, that little cutout, the stamped piece. But that is antique. This is a little advertisement for Clean Right, a superior solvent. So you can use this for cleaning in your little cottage, that item. Here's the back of that fertilizer notebook. It's dated 1961. And this is from an 1843 notebook that someone was writing in and keeping track of figures, doing some math. I see to go out, something about the girls, $100 in cash. A lot of money back then. There's another one of those same tags. I had another image of a pretty little house from a 1930s magazine. There's the embossed pocket, and this one has a quilt. The other one had a rug. This is that really old ledger, 1825, it says right there. Another digital. The booklet. So for this one, I didn't try to sew the leather on, I just glued it. This one had a hole in it where it was attached. It was like from a little sample collection. So the pieces they were good sized pieces, at least 5 by 5. And they had a chain through them to attach them together. Here we have a tomato seed packet, and I just cut this cardstock, which was already, this was it, this cardstock, and all I did was add this ephemera piece to it, and then the reinforcement. Here's a nasturtium seed packet. This one has dandelion and goldenrods. I think it's the same little bird, but I think the colors are reversed. In this bag, we have the cover that I didn't even need to fold because this is the largest bag. It just sticks up tiny, tiny bit above the other pages. And this page from that Rumford baking soda, I think, is it baking soda or, yeah, baking powder. Another page from that book. But this is not just recipes, it's helpful hints. Save the life of flowers, save buying porch lamp, save a loose mop handle. So this is more housekeeping. And here is another page from that very old notebook that had all the recipes written in it. Has cut out of a newspaper to pickle tomatoes. And then down here it says, it's handwritten, canned cabbage. And the other half of that leftover page. Embossed straw paper. The milk bottle cap. There's some more of that really gorgeous lace. And there's another fancy mirror and another ink blotter for Gold Bond gypsum lath. I used the same paper, because that was a big book, so one page made 2 tags, and then a recipe for zucchini bread. So I put an extra recipe in the other journal, so let's do that here. This one is Danish apple strudel. So I might take a strip of muslin and tie it around them, but otherwise I don't have a closure on them. So I'll probably do that. So these are in my shop. Oh, they will be in my shop. Actually, when you see the video, they're there. I always forget to talk about that at the beginning of the video, but they'll be in my shop when you see the video, and I'll put that in the description box, that information and the link to my video, or to my shop. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming. I had a lot of fun making these and using up some of my supplies. It was just fun. I love these kinds of journals with the shabbiness. I hope you do too. So come on back to see what the next project's going to be. I have an idea, not quite sure, but I have an idea. So, oh, you know what? I'm gonna add one of these pages of the bird book to the kit of stuff that I send with these journals. And I will see you in the next video. Have a creative day. Bye.